If you know how to use Premiere Pro, Final Cut, or DaVinci Resolve, and you're looking for an easy way to monetize your skill set, then starting a video editing agency is for you. We're going to cover how to get paying projects, how to charge the maximum amount even as a beginner, and how to avoid those dreaded back and forths with ongoing amendments with clients. And the best thing about this business model is that you can work from anywhere in the world. It's a completely remote agency, which allows you to scale at mass if you want to, but also you don't have to be fixed to one position. And that opens up a whole end of opportunities when you start generating some money. If you would rather be working on a beach in a lovely location rather than sat in your bedroom editing for a client. So first up, we're going to work out how we're going to get you some paid projects, because this is the thing that people overlooked when starting a business or when they're in their early stages and they're trying to get people to say yes to them. They often are just asking everyone. So you get a lot of no's, you feel down, you feel like it's not working, and that's where a lot of people give up. Instead, we're actually going to get people coming to you, and we're going to make sure we're approaching the right sort of people who are going to say yes to your services. And they're going to fall into one of these categories. So you've got freelancers, production companies, marketing agencies, direct to businesses, and then also YouTubers and social media influencers, because all of those people are people who have content that they'll be looking to outsource the editing to, or bring someone on board to actually edit their content for them. And what I would suggest here is picking what we would call the lowest hanging fruit. So if you already know loads of freelance videographers, then ask them. That's a great place to start. Or if you already know business owners or social media influencers, I would pick whatever is the easiest option to you. There's no right or wrong with where to start. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, Ross, I don't actually have any connections in any of those spaces, then don't worry. We're going to dive into how to find a niche for you, and we can dive into that in a little bit more detail. Now, connecting with freelancers, agencies, and production companies is pretty simple. You're just going to search for those businesses in your area, and then you'll just send them an email or give them a call suggesting your services. We'll dive into that a little bit later as well. But for the time being, I want to focus on those of you who want to go direct to business, because that's really where the money is, and actually dealing with people directly, so there's no middleman, and then you can just deal with them as a video editing agency. And we're going to use ChatGPT for this. AI is so intelligent now, and if you're not using AI daily in your business, then you really are falling behind. It's become a key in our production company where the whole team use it on a daily basis. And we're simply going to ask it, what are the top 5 industries who outsource their video editing? And we'll see what it comes up with. So it's come up with media and entertainment, so production companies and things like that, which we've already gone over. Advertising and marketing agencies as well, huge demand there. Social media and YouTube, again, listing basically everything I've just done as well. But it has also included e-learning and online education, which makes a lot of sense, actually. There's a lot of trainers out there and coaches that want to create a whole bank of instructional videos. And a lot of these people are happy to shoot it themselves and then outsource that editing too. So that just guides you in a better direction. Now, the next question I'm going to ask it is, what states in the US pay the highest rates for freelance video editors? Because understanding this will, again, get us a lot more yeses. So it's come back and it said California, New York, Texas, Georgia, Illinois, I'm probably going to mess up all of these names, by the way, obviously from the UK, Florida, Washington State as well, and it gives reasoning behind those. So if you're in those areas or want to target people in those areas, bearing in mind that a remote video editing agency can be based anywhere in the world, then they're the ones that are going to have the highest budgets to pay and are more likely to use. So that would be my target audience, because we want to get some yeses right away in the business, right? That makes sense to get it really launched and get it going. Now, the purpose for doing this is for those of you who don't really have a niche at the moment, or don't have any low-hanging fruit and don't really know where to go with kickstarting your video editing agency, then we're trying to build out, what does a good client look like to you? Where are they based? Where is the money? What kind of areas should we follow? And it's basically an avatar of your ideal customer. So you know exactly who you're talking to when you're trying to email out to masses of businesses. And there's a website I want to share with you. It's called founderpow.ai, and it builds this out for you based on, again, obviously all the information from the internet. So I want to type in your business. So your business is going to be a video editing agency. And your target audience segment is going to be, let's say it is going to be real estate. So you could be working with people who are selling their houses, and maybe they're happy enough to record it, but they're going to send you the content. It could be anything. We'll just use this as an example. Literally give it 10 seconds and it's going to populate a user persona for you, which is going to help you be able to talk to the right people. And the reason that that's important is because when you're sending out an email, if it seems generic, people are going to discard it and it's going to go in the bin. And you're going to want to be in a position, and I'll show you how we plug AI into this later on, to send out thousands of emails every week. And AI is going to automate that for you, so you don't have to be sitting there pressing send. So it needs to be generic where it talks to everyone, but it needs to have a high success rate where it's not just going in the bin. And this will help you do that. So this gives you an idea of, they've called the customer persona, you usually give it a name, and it's going to be called Leah. And this person struggles from creating high quality videos which capture the essence of her properties that attract potential buyers. Pain points are buyers, they're losing potential buyers due to poorly edited videos. They're wasting hours themselves trying to learn to edit videos and using editing software, or they're spending a significant amount of money on professional video editors. So to everyone who's starting, it's ideal to know the pain points, because when we write that email later on, you can be much more specific. You can say, hey, this is what we do. It enables you to save time, so you don't have to worry about spending hours trying to edit this stuff yourself. You get a much more polished off video. And hey, I'm not based in, let's say, California, where we've got really high rent rates or business rates, or I'm a freelancer, and that's a plus because I don't have to pay for a big team of people sitting around doing nothing. I can help you, so I can be a lot more cost effective. It can be a huge selling point when you know what these pains are. It then lists out the goals, the benefits, triggers and barriers. These are things that are really important when you're building a business, to have a better conversation with them from the start. And this is something that if I had done this with my production company from day one, it would have saved us so much time, and we would have made a lot more money a lot quicker and been able to grow quicker, just because it took us years to figure this stuff out and figure out the importance of it. And now we use this for every time we enter a new sector or a new market. So quick recap, we've looked at the 5 kind of key areas that are your lowest hanging fruits. For anyone wanting to look at a business or direct to business sales, then you're going to break that down into what sectors would be good for you, using ChatGPT to find out what industries and what areas and what locations are going to be profitable. Then you're going to build out your ideal customer persona using FounderPal. And once you've got that, you're going to be saying to yourself, right, I know who I've got to speak to, but how do I actually get their details? And that's where I want to show you D7 Lead Finder. This is a lead generation platform that enables you to generate loads of leads. And if you don't know what a lead is, then a lead is a set of contact details for a potential customer. So they're a lead at the moment, and they're generally rated between cold and hot. So when we're doing outreach and we're outreaching to them, we're emailing them, we're calling them, they're generally a cold lead. They don't know who we are. A hot lead would be someone that comes to you saying, hey, I've seen your work, I love it, I want to work with you, I want you to edit my YouTube videos. And that's a hot lead. So we're going to type in here a keyword. So we're looking for real estate agents. And you can type in anything here. Choose a city. For us, we're just going to do London. Again, it could be anywhere based on those statistics you've looked at earlier. We're going to click on Get Leads, and it will take you through. It just takes a couple of minutes. And then what it does is it populates a whole entire list of email addresses and data where you can now do our next step, which I'll come to in a minute. But basically, these are all of your leads. These are your ideal customers. Now, I'm not logged in at the moment. It is a paid for thing. I'm pretty sure you get a certain amount for free, and then it's just a couple of dollars. I would say pay it, because it is going to save you so much time than sitting at your desk trying to find the right contact details. This is normally pretty spot on, and again, it's populated hundreds in the space of just a couple of minutes. And what it consists of is the name of the business, the phone numbers, the email addresses, the websites, LinkedIn page. I definitely would suggest following them on LinkedIn. Follow them on all their socials so they know they've seen your name popping up. It generates some interest. Then you can email the owner and then just say, hey, we're a video editing agency? Are you looking to outsource any of your video work at the moment? XYZ, pull on those pain points. I'll come back to that in a second. But I just want to show you that's the starting point for a video editing agency. That is the fundamentals. If you don't do those things and just jump straight to sending out an email, you're going to get a lot more no's than you do yeses. By doing everything else in this order, honestly, is going to set you up for the best chance of success. Now, you want to be doing what you love, right? Editing really cool videos and working on paying projects. Now, what you don't want to be doing is sat at your desk sending loads of emails. And what I would suggest doing here is plugging in an app called Lemlist. It's something I've spoken about on this channel before. We use it. I find it really, really useful for just automating your email process. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that lead list that has just been populated through D7 Lead Finder, and you're going to plug it into Lemlist. Then you're going to set up a simple automation that sends an email to these people, and the email will just read something very simple like, hi, this is what we do. Are you looking to outsource your work at the moment? Would love the opportunity to work with you. And it's just going to send them out at mass. So you want to generate as many leads as you possibly can, put together a bit of a tailored email, and you do that in Lemlist, and then press send, and it will just send probably 100 a day. You can set limits on it, but send 100 a day, and it will be doing that in the background, and then you just have to literally sit there and wait for the replies to come in. A really advanced bit of kit that's going to enable you to focus on doing what you love, which is, when you get busy, is fulfilling the work, but it also allows you to not waste loads of time having to do this stuff yourself. Now, I do want to touch on cold calling. Cold calling is really effective. If you are talking to other marketing agencies or freelancers or production companies, I'd say pick up the phone and give them a call. You're going to get a much quicker answer, and you'll be able to introduce yourself much easier. If you're dealing directly with businesses, then go down the email route, because you'll be able to do that at mass. But if you're looking at anyone in the local area, pick up the phone, introduce yourself. It's a much nicer way, and you'll get an instant answer and build up a better rapport with them. And by the way, I'm going to assume at this point that you guys have a good looking website, and that you also have an email address that is your name or hello or info at your business name.com.co.uk. Wherever you are in the world. Please do not use an at Hotmail, at Outlook, at Gmail email address, because you will look like a scam. People won't take you seriously, and you will do everything I say in this video, and you won't get any success whatsoever. I guarantee it, because people won't be taking you seriously. If I ever receive an email from someone like that, it goes straight in the trash. I'm going to delete it, because they are clearly not a legit business as far as I'm concerned. So make sure you're doing that. I'm going to assume you've got that set up already based on my previous videos. And just to recap, we're looking at either local agencies to team up with that people can send you their work, and we're going to do that through cold calling, or we're going to go direct to business, in which case we're going to do our ideal customer persona. We're then going to use D7 Lead Finder to generate thousands and thousands of leads, and then we're going to plug that into Lemlist, and it's going to automate that sales process for you, so you can sit there and just wait to receive new emails for people who want to work with you. So now you've done all that, you get an email in your inbox that says, hey, that sounds great. How much does it cost per video? Or there's going to be something around cost. Now, we always advise getting someone on a meeting, because then you can talk about that cost with them. You can discuss the project in more detail. A lot of people, specifically video editors, I don't think you should give a set fee over an initial email. I think try and get them in on a meeting, because every project's really different. With that said, there's two main ways of pricing in my experience with freelance video editors and video editing agencies, and that is a day rate, or it's a project rate, or it is a kind of per minute of exported video. Personally, when people say, okay, if it's a 10-minute video, it's going to be this. If it's a 15-minute video, it's going to be this. I don't agree with that, because it depends on so many factors, level of animation, how many cameras are involved, and all of this stuff. So I personally don't favor that. I don't work with those kind of people. Project rate is, hey, yeah, I've got 20 videos that need editing. They're roughly all about this. I can give you the details. How much is that going to be? And then I would work out a rate based on that. Or I work on a day rate or an hourly rate for editing based on how long you think it's going to take. Now, if the project that you're working on, I'm going to give you a formula that's really useful to work out your rate in a minute. If the project you're working on takes longer than what you've allocated, then don't tell them that when you have surpassed it. And you don't say to them, oh, hey, I was only going to charge you 5 hours, but actually it's taken me 8 already and now I need to charge you more. Let them know before. When you start getting to 3 or 4 hours, say to them, hey, just a heads up, I don't think I'm halfway through this video yet and it's already taken 3 hours. It's been a much bigger project than I thought. I didn't expect X, Y, Z. And then update the quote and see if they're happy to move along. Now, there's a few grey areas here. If your computer keeps crashing, that's not my fault as a paying client, okay? So you have to be a bit flexible. It's not my fault that your computer's taking hours to render or export this content, okay? But that's also reflected in your hourly rate. So I want to give you this formula. I learned it from Christo at The Future. He's amazing. And actually, any beginner, I always give them this as a standard now to get going. I want you to work out, what is your revenue goal? In the next 12 months, how much money do you want to make? Is that 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand or more? Write that down. Let's say for this example, we're going to say 100 grand. That's your revenue goal for the next 12 months. Now, how many hours are there that you're going to be working per year? And to work this out a bit easier, I would say take 10 months. And the reason we do 10 months and not 12, I'll explain that in a minute. You take 10 months, you're going to be working for 4 weeks per month. And then you're going to be working for roughly 40 hours per week. That's a 9 to 5. If you don't want to work a 9 to 5, then again, just base this on how many hours per week you want to work. And once you've got that, that's in this case going to give you an example of 1,600 hours. So 10 months, then you've got 4 weeks per month, 40 hours per week gives you 1,600 hours. And the reason we do 10 months and not 12 is because that accounts for things like sickness, holiday, and it basically increases your hourly rate to cover those kind of things. So it ups it a little bit more. Now, the final stage of this process is taking your revenue goal, which in this case is 100K, dividing that by 1,600 hours. Again, yours might be slightly different. That gives you your rate per hour, which works out to be around about $62 per hour. And if anyone's then asking you for your day rate, just times that by 8, and that's going to give you around about $497. You could round it up to $500 a day based on your target. I would urge you to work this out yourself and what you'd be happy with, because your numbers are going to be completely different to other people's. But just as an example, it's a really good tool to use to give you an idea of what ballpark you should be in. But don't forget, we can jump over to chat and ask them, what is the average for a freelancer in this location? So we asked, what is the average day rate of a freelancer editor with 1 year's experience in this sector of real estate? And they've said, well, it depends on obviously a load of different things, but it ranges from $150 to $400 or more per day. So again, based on your experience, you can use this to give you a bit of a rough guide. I would say charge something, and then once you get clients saying yes to you, and most people are saying yes, then increase your rates, see what happens. Is there any drop off? No, keep increasing your rates slowly at increments of about $50. That's what we've done over the years. Now, you might be tempted to click off the video at this point, because now you've learned how to find your clients, what they look like, how to approach them, how to find the leads, and also how much to charge. But you'd be wrong to, because you're going to fall into a lot of problems and a lot of challenges along this way. And if our production company is anything to go by, then there's going to be a lot of challenges that you're going to face, and you're not going to know what they are until you reach them. The only way I can foresee that future for you is because we've been through a lot of them. Even though it's a production company, we still deal with the editing side as well. And this is where you get the dreaded amendments, the back and forth, the version 25, when you're stuck on a video and can't seem to just clear it off your desk. So I'm going to talk you through some key methods on how to deal with this. Considering you're running a video editing agency, you want it to run like a business. You don't want it just to be a case of like, oh yeah, that'll be fine, I don't need to worry about that because it's just a one-man band. Treat yourself like a proper business. So I would suggest for every editor to have a scope of work document. Super simple document, stick your logo on there, call it scope of work, and then underneath you're literally just going to list what's been discussed over emails or your meeting with the potential client. I am going to deliver XYZ with no graphics or with minimal text, or be specific here with what you're going to deliver. And then in return, the client is going to pay me XYZ, but please keep in mind that this rate might change once we get started with the project. With a scope of work document, it kind of provides barriers and kind of like guides to your relationship with this client, so that they don't end up making loads and loads of changes, which takes it from your initial brief, your initial idea of what your video was going to look like, to something way off in the distance where now you're having to re-edit stuff and you haven't discussed this. The biggest mistake people make is not actually discussing this stuff in the first place, because then you've got no leg to stand on. You can say, oh, well, I don't really want to re-edit this because we didn't discuss that. And they can say, well, what you've edited is completely different to what we discussed. And then it just is not a nice situation to be in. So a scope of work document just provides those guidelines. It outlines what you're committing to, and it also estimates. Always use an estimate when it comes to video editing, because the project might be different when you actually dive into it. Be specific. Make sure it's measured in terms of it includes a delivery time. When does the project need to be done by? Is it achievable within that time frame as well? And then just making sure you understand any other assumptions. And I always list out assumptions in this document. So it would say, under the scope of work, our assumptions are the following. And then we would list, client is going to send us all of the content by this date, for instance, or the assumption is there will only be one camera angle for this project, or the client is going to provide, raw footage to us to make this edit via Dropbox or whatever it is. Put down those assumptions, because they're things where they often get overlooked. You kind of think like, oh, well, they'll just send it to me via WeTransfer anyway. And then they send it to you a week late, because WeTransfer is not working or whatever, and then you find yourself in this position where you're the one that's letting them down because you can't hit the deadline, because nothing in the document said about when they needed to get the content over to you. So again, please just put everything you can in this document. It's going to save you so many problems. Next up, agreed amendments. So agree amendments with them. Now, I would say it's usual to have 2 sets of amendments, and a set of amendments is equal to 1 detailed email. So our clients must stipulate at what time stamp, so what time of the video do they want this thing changed, and what do they want changed about it. We give them normally 2 sets of amendments, because that allows for, a little bit of interpretation between what they've said and your editing, and we think that that's a kind of a fair space to go on. So generally use that. If they use up those amendments, so you send them back version 3 or 4 or whatever, and then they want more changes, you say, hey, at this point we've surpassed our scope of work where we've delivered this, and we now need to charge for more allotted time. And then we charge on that based on an hourly rate, and whatever your hourly rate is, we would just charge for however long those extra amendments take. We're a little bit flexible with it because we want to keep a good relationship with the client, but 2 sets of amendments is fair, and it should be outlined in that document. Now, I know a lot of video editors and video editing agencies that use frame.io, and this is really handy because you can link it in with Premiere Pro and various other editing software, and you can send the video directly to the customer, where they can click on the video and make notes at any point. I do like it because it is easy. However, I don't like it because it almost suggests that there's going to be some changes. You might do a perfect video and send it over, but if I'm using as a client frame.io, I'm probably just going to make some changes for the sake of making changes. Whereas when you send it over in a WeTransfer, often in our experience, it gets signed off a lot quicker. So it's up to you whether or not you want to use it or not. I do think it's a great tool, and if I was going to run solely a video editing agency, then I would probably use this. I think because we sit on the side of a video production company, we deal with them for the pre-production phase, the storyboarding phase, the filming phase, so we can update the vision as we go along. So that's worth noting. I wanted to just provide that as some extra value for you guys if you're just starting out. The biggest problem with everything I've shown you today that's going to probably end up destroying your business or not making it grow as quickly is going to be consistency. Because we've spoken about how to find these clients. Do a sale, do the work, find another client. Do a sale, do the work, find another client. there'll be an element of repeat business, but what we now do is we sign people up onto retainers. And something that works really well with video editing agencies is to almost do like bulk package discounts. So I'll edit 10 videos for you, which would usually cost this, and we're going to do it for this much instead. Or we're going to sign you up onto a retainer. And what a retainer is, by the way, in case you don't know, is it's a monthly fee that you're being paid for by a client in return for you delivering X amount of services. So you might provide, let's say, 2 days editing per month to a particular client based on the quantity of videos they're sending you, and that's going to cost them, $2,000 a month or $1,000 a month, depending on your rates. And you sign them up to a 12-month contract, a 12-month agreement, so that you're working with each other for the long term, and that provides you with predictability. It also means that you can do less sales, because instead of doing a sale, the work, and then another sale, the work, another sale, the work, you can literally make a sale, sign them onto a retainer system, and then they're with you for the next 12 months. That's guaranteed income. And that is the one thing that took me from a desk in my parents' living room to almost 2 years later having a full-scale production company, employing a team of people, moving to a studio, working on major projects for brands all over the world, and investing in some pretty cool equipment. And that's just because we knew we had the predictability. We knew we had the cash flow coming in, so we didn't have to worry about when or where that next job was coming from. And that's the most fearful place that so many people starting a business, who are solopreneurs, who are sitting there on their own, dreaming of a big business, but they're just worried that they don't know when their next job's coming from sometimes, and that can be really daunting. Moving people onto a retainer system really helps with this, and we're actually running a live workshop. It's going to be interactive on the 5th of October. If you're watching past the 5th of October, then I'll link a standard training in the link below. You can click on that link and go through to it. But this workshop is going to be interactive. It's going to be your opportunity to ask me questions. We're going to go through building a business, these retainer models in more details, how they work, as well as how to actually use more AI tools to automate all parts of your business. I'm so excited for it, but please don't register for it if you are easily offended, because this workshop is all about us working together and diving into the parts of your business that aren't actually working that well at the moment. And that means being honest and giving honest feedback, and that might not always be that nice. So if you're easily offended, don't apply. If you are watching this before the 5th of October, then make sure you click the link below and join us on that live workshop. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be, I've packed so much value into it, but I also want it to be interactive, where we can collaborate on this and make sure you get your desired results. So I'm so excited for that. If you're watching past the 5th of October, like I said, click the link below anyway. We'll link to our previous training event that explains this in a little bit more detail as well. Tons of value still to be had, and there's some freebies available on the download too. If you haven't seen it by now and you are thinking about starting your business and wondering how you can turn your investment into a production machine, then definitely take a look at this video. We found Josh on the streets, who was a keen filmmaker and didn't know how to start his business. We gave him $500 and he turned it into a $10,000 video production machine. So take a look at that. Super awesome, and loads of value in that video as well. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Till next time, peace.